You might think flying a fighter jet is about fancy maneuvers and looking cool in a helmet. But what if I told you the real challenge isn't the aircraft itself, it's surviving the sheer mental and physical brutality that comes with controlling one of the most advanced weapon systems ever created while your body is getting crushed at 9 times your own weight and your brain is drowning in more data than a small city's internet traffic. This is what it really takes to become an F-35 Lightning II pilot, the most advanced stealth fighter on the planet, flown by 20 nations, equipped with sensor technology that makes it less of an airplane and more of a flying supercomputer with a human strapped inside. And if you think getting into Harvard is hard, try getting into that cockpit. The F-35 fighter jet is the centerpiece of 21st century air warfare, a $100 million piece of engineering magic that combines stealth technology with sensor fusion and network-centric combat capabilities that basically turn the pilot into a god with a bird's eye view of the entire battlefield. There are 3 variants of this thing: the F-35A for conventional runways, the F-35B that can take off vertically like something out of a science fiction movie, and the F-35C, designed specifically for aircraft carriers with reinforced landing gear and bigger wings because landing on a floating runway in the middle of the ocean wasn't hard enough already. Over 1,200 of these jets are operational worldwide right now, and that number keeps climbing because when you build a plane this good, everyone wants one. But here's the kicker: this jet is metal and missiles. Even so, a sensor monster that absorbs information from radar systems, infrared cameras, electronic warfare suites, and distributed aperture systems all at once, creating a battlefield picture so detailed that one pilot described it as flying a giant sensor rather than a plane. The more F-35s in the air together, the better the picture gets, which means you're flying solo just like part of a network swarm of data collecting killing machines. And with the recent Block 4 modernization program rolling out 75 major upgrades including better computing power, enhanced radar, expanded weapons capacity, and improved electronic warfare systems, this aircraft is evolving faster than most pilots can keep up with. Flying an F-35 today means you're something other than a pilot. You're a data manager, a tactical operator, and a system administrator all rolled into one. And that's before you even leave the ground. If you're already impressed by flying this supercomputer, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started with the insane details. So you want to fly this beast? Great, but first you need to survive one of the most brutal selection and training pipelines in the entire military. And spoiler alert, most people don't make it. The journey starts long before you even touch a fighter jet. You need to become a commissioned officer first, which means graduating from a military academy, completing ROTC, or making it through officer training school. And that's just the entry ticket. Once you're in, you compete for pilot training slots based on your academic record, physical fitness, aptitude tests, and how badly the service needs pilots that year. And if you get selected, congratulations, you've earned the right to start learning how to fly. Undergraduate pilot training is where you'll learn the basics, using trainer aircraft like the T-6 Texan II. And this is where the pipeline gets narrow, because only the top performers get fighter slots. The rest get assigned to cargo planes, tankers, or helicopters. If you make the cut, you move on into advanced fighter training, where you learn combat maneuvers, aerial tactics, high-G operations, and instrument flying. And this is where your body starts learning what it feels like to have your organs crushed against your spine. Then comes the F-35 specific training, which is a whole different level of intensity because now you're learning to fly at the same time learning to operate a flying data center. The F-35 academic course throws theoretical knowledge, systems training, and tactical employment at you for weeks, and then you move into the simulators. The full mission simulator is so realistic that nearly half of the qualifying flights needed to become an F-35 pilot are done inside it. And we're talking about high-fidelity mission scenarios that replicate every sensor, weapon, and cockpit interface down to the pixel. According to the training program, the average pilot spends around 192 hours in training before their first live flight in an actual F-35. And that's not counting the years you spent getting to this point. From commissioning to your first solo flight in a stealth fighter, you're looking at several years of nonstop competition, evaluation, training, and mental pressure. And even then, you're not done learning, because the jets keep evolving, and so do you. Let's talk about what happens to your body when you fly a fighter jet. because this is where things get genuinely terrifying. Fighter pilots regularly experience G-forces between 6 and 9 Gs during combat maneuvers. And to put that in perspective, 9 Gs mean you weigh 9 times your normal body weight. So if you weigh 80 kilograms on the ground, congratulations, you now weigh over 700 kilograms, and every single organ in your body is trying to slam downward like it's been thrown into a blender. Your heart has to work overtime to pump blood up to your brain against this crushing force, and if it can't keep up, the blood drains from your head and you experience G-induced loss of consciousness, which is exactly as bad as it sounds. Because passing out in a fighter jet traveling at supersonic speeds is a fantastic way to become a crater. Pilots wear G-suits that squeeze their legs and abdomen to help push blood back up towards the brain, and they use breathing techniques to tense their muscles and keep themselves conscious. But even with all that, the physical strain is brutal. Your neck has to support the weight of your helmet, which under high Gs feels like it weighs as much as a small child, and your arms feel like they're made of lead when you're trying to move the stick. Then there's the issue of oxygen, because at high altitudes, your body needs pressurized oxygen to function. And if the system fails, you got seconds before hypoxia kicks in, and you start making catastrophically bad decisions. Fighter pilots also go through survival training for worst case scenarios like ejection, water landings, escape, and evasion. Because if something goes wrong and you have to punch out, surviving the ejection is only the beginning of your problems. The human body was not designed for this kind of punishment, and every single flight is a test of whether your biology can keep up with the machine you're strapped into. Now let's talk about the mental side of this nightmare, because if the physical demands don't break you, the cognitive load absolutely will. The F-35 is often called a giant sensor, and that's not an exaggeration. This thing pulls in data from radar, infrared cameras, electronic warfare systems, distributed aperture systems, helmet-mounted displays, and communication networks all at the same time, creating a flood of information that would overwhelm most people just sitting at a desk, let alone while flying at supersonic speeds and dodging missiles. Your job as the pilot is to take all of this data, process it in real time, prioritize threats, coordinate with other aircraft, make split-second tactical decisions, manage weapon systems, communicate with ground controllers, and somehow also remember to actually fly the plane. Modern missions involve air-to-air combat, ground strikes, intelligence gathering, surveillance, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and joint operations with drones and allied forces, all happening simultaneously in a multi-domain battle space. You're a quarterback managing an entire aerial operation while your brain is screaming at you to focus on 50 different things at once. And because the F-35 is software driven, every major upgrade like Block 4 or Technology Refresh 3 changes the cockpit interface, the weapons loadout, and the sensor modes, which means that you constantly relearn parts of your job because the jet evolves faster than most software companies release updates. The cognitive load is so intense that training heavily relies on simulators just to let pilots rehearse managing this data flood. And even then, the transition from simulator to real jet requires absolute mental discipline, because one mistake at Mach speed doesn't give you a chance. Now here's the part that nobody tells you about being an F-35 pilot. The training never ends. Ever. Even after you've earned your wings and completed your first live flights, you're constantly cycling through simulator sessions, mission plannings, briefings, live flight training, weapons employment, aerial refueling, night fueling, formation flying, and if you're Navy or Marine Corps, carrier takeoffs and landings, which are objectively one of the most insane things a human can do. A huge portion of your time is spent in the full mission simulator, or participating in distributed mission training, which is a networked system that lets pilots from different bases and even different countries train together in simulated combat scenarios, rehearsing coalition operations without burning jet fuel or risking actual aircraft. The daily life of an F-35 pilot involves mission planning sessions, where you review intelligence reports, threat assessments, rules of engagement, airspace deconfliction, sensor data, and tactical plans before every sortie. And then after the flight, you debrief everything that happened so you can learn from mistakes and refine tactics. Physical fitness is non-negotiable because your body has to maintain the strength, endurance, and G-force tolerance to handle the demands of high-speed maneuvering. and if you let yourself slip, the jet will punish you for it. The psychological demands are just as intense because you're operating in a high-stress, high-stakes environment, where rapid decision-making and situational awareness can mean the difference between mission success and disaster. And the mental burden of managing complex missions, coordinating with multiple assets, and staying ready for potential combat takes a serious toll. The F-35 program recently graduated its 2,000th pilot, and every single one of them will tell you the same thing. You don't just learn to fly this jet and move on. You commit to a lifestyle of constant learning, constant readiness, and constant adaptation, because the jet keeps evolving, and so does the threat environment. So in a world where jets can fly themselves and AI can process data faster than any human, do we even need pilots anymore? Or are they about to become the most important part of the system? Do you think you've got what it takes to become an F-35 fighter jet pilot? Drop a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe.